Yeah, so some people are just wired to be sad, or wired to be just emotionally sensitive to disappointment. And so a lot of the way it works, sometimes it can be literally a part of your genetic makeup, meaning your serotonin levels usually are too low, and so you may need medication to bring them up. But then a lot of times it's just a thought process. They call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. And so some people have these cognitive distortions that cause them to have a negative mood. And so if you think about it, so the brain is like the only organ that can kind of change, meaning based upon how you think, the different memories you have, the activities you engage in, your brain develops neural pathways. And so if some people who are sad and have been sad for so long, they literally have neural pathways that produce deeper levels of sadness than the average person. And so you take a person like that, and you bring the holidays, like you said, holidays, that's the time of the year when people have heightened anxiety, heightened depression. And it's usually because of, like you were saying, because of memories of lost loved ones, memories of failed relationships, memories of things like, can't afford some of the things I want to purchase, memories of the goals I didn't accomplish this year. And so it just turns into a stressful season. And I was doing some research, and so Christmas Eve is the day that most people have heart attacks. It's like a 40% increase in heart attacks on Christmas Eve, and most of them are had by 10 p.m. So that tells you about the stress during that season between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Wow.
Yep. But we know how stress works. Stress can bring out the worst in you.
Yes.
And stress can cause you to ruin your relationships. It can cause you to malfunction physiologically, psychologically, etc. And so, so there's a thing called holiday blues, and then yes, some people are wired to be depressed.
Yes.
Wow. Would you say it's more so in females because we're so hormonal and emotional?
Statistically speaking, yes, women suffer from anxiety and depression, and they blame their man on it.
Yeah. You know what? I can't disagree. I got it.
And just eat that text. If you think about it, they call you. I know you heard of this. The depressive cognitive triad. And if you listen to what he's saying, basically that triad is like a triangle. And it means I have negative thoughts about myself, I have negative thoughts about others, and I have negative thoughts about my future and my life in general. And so it's kind of like all day this is what's going on.
Yes.
And somebody told me this once, a guy was supervising me, and he said people who are always depressed, he said the reason why they're so depressed is because they think about themselves too much. And I had to think about that, and it made a little sense. I'm sure that's not true for everybody, but if you think about yourself too much, and you think about some of the things you've been through too much and the opportunities you miss, and if you turn into that victim mode, it can depress you as well. I think a good approach to take is, I guess, to not overvalue the ability for Christmas to make you happy. And that's what happens with a lot of people. They feel like this one day I'm going to be happy and life is going to be happily ever after, and it doesn't happen, because the day after Christmas, your life, the way it was set up before Christmas, is set up that way again, or still set up that way. So just not putting too much stock in the ability for Christmas to make you happy. A lot of pressure from Christmas comes from the buying everybody gifts and being a perfectionist and trying to include everyone. One of the strategies you can use is like a gift exchange. So instead of me having to buy a gift for everybody, everybody says, okay, you get one person a gift, you get one person a gift, etc. Setting limits. In the past, I've done this where it's like, hey, the rule is you got to get this person a gift, and it can't cost over $20. And everybody coming to that agreement. Not being superwoman, a lot of women, most of the time, they're most responsible for the holiday things, like the cooking, the buying gifts, the cleaning, and sending out invites and stuff like that. They take on too much, and they get stressed, and then it turns into depression or anxiety. So resist that temptation to be superwoman. Remember that Christmas is just one day of the year. It's so sensationalized that we put all of this effort into making this one beautiful day. We go broke for it. We sacrifice our relationships because I'm trying to have this perfect Christmas. Now I'm yelling and screaming at my kids and my husband, and Christmas is actually creating problems in our lives. So not putting so much stock again in just one day. And I think I had something else written down. Oh, and then squashing beefs.
Mm.
A lot of times people experience a lot of anxiety around Christmas because now I have to be around maybe family members that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
I haven't forgiven them, or we got in an argument the last year. And so just coming together and just squashing the beef and just resolving conflict, that can take away a lot of anxiety and depression as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some great closing comments and statements. I loved it.